If you're a lineman in charge of keeping the lights on, Grainger understands that you go to great lengths and sometimes heights to ensure the power is always flowing, which is why you can count on Grainger for professional-grade products and next-day delivery, so you have everything you need to get the job done. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Hey, girl, hey!
Hi. Hi, Miss Mims. How are you today?
I'm fantastic. How about you?
I'm tired, bitch. I'm tired.
So I have some news that has absolutely nothing to do with me, but something you may be interested in.
I'm excited. What is that?
Do you know what happens tonight at 11:30? I just looked at the Twitter machine and found this out. So
Tonight at 11:30. No,
yes.
what?
Tuca and Birdie is back on Comedy Central.
I thought it was on Adult Swim.
Oh, whatever.
Oh, okay. I was like, wait, what? They changed networks again? Don't scare me like that.
Isn't it all Viacom? Isn't it all kind of the same? I don't. So, okay, so Tuca and Birdie somewhere out there at 11:30 tonight.
Yes, then they are correct. I am very excited about that.
Exactly.
That's good news.
So I had a existential crisis yesterday.
Whoa, another one?
Yes, this one's a little sad. Are you ready for something
Oh.
sad? Because we're going to be talking about the big C today.
I know, right? Okay.
So
Crisis.
I was watching the soccer. Have you heard about this yet?
The soccer, as in like the sports soccer, or
Yes.
like a TV show?
Yes, because something crazy happened yesterday.
Oh no, what happened? I have no
Okay.
idea.
So I was watching the soccer. It was Denmark versus Finland. One of the players on the Finnish team is on the team I support, Teemu Pukki. He's on Norwich, so I was cheering for Finland. And 42nd minute, they do a throw in. The dude is waiting on the ball. He's a very famous soccer player named Christian Eriksen.
Okay.
Just keels over.
What do you mean? Just falls
just
over? Like,
bam. Girl, they ran over to him, had to do chest compressions.
what?
I saw him be defibrillated. Like,
Shut up. Like, right, the camera just filmed the whole thing?
the whole thing. The Danish players formed a circle around to prevent people from watching. But then they panned over to, like, his wife came onto the pitch, and, like, the goalie went over to tell her what was going on.
What?
Come to find out today, the man had actually died for a few minutes. Like, he's alive now, but for a few minutes he was
Whoa.
dead.
Like, did he have a heart attack or something?
They don't exactly, I mean, it was cardiac arrest, but they don't exactly know what caused it.
That's bonkers.
It was like, I watched the thing, and then as you were watching it, you saw him fall down, and his eyes were completely blank, and I was like, I've just watched a man die on television, like.
I don't think that's ever happened during an athletic event like that before. Like, I mean, people have gotten injured, but like,
Right.
I don't think it's ever happened like that before.
Not on international television. No, high school players back when a Federer was a thing they used to follow out all the time, but. And I know, I'm sorry, dear listeners. I'm sorry, that was probably very insensitive. High schoolers should not be taking ephedra.
High schoolers should not be taking ephedra. I remember when that was happening. I remember that was...
People should just generally not be taking ephedra, right? Like, It ain't good for you.
Good.
So yeah, that was my yesterday. I like had a moment.
Did you have a drink after?
Oh, I had like 4. My husband and I went out to there's a local a Mexican seafood place. We had some tiki drinks, some ceviche. It was delicious. That place is so good. If any of y'all are ever in Raleigh, North Carolina,
Not North Carolina.
North Kakalaki, if you would, I do highly suggest the Cortez. It is a fantastic restaurant.
I saw, what were we watching? So me and my husband are watching something that Raleigh actually came up on it. It was a Netflix documentary about the human body. And at one point one of the locations they went to was Raleigh. who were they profiling? They were profiling a gentleman. This specific episode was talking about the brain and the nervous system.
Okay.
And so they used him as an example of like the nervous system and sciatica and things like that. And what so it was really interesting how they did that, because then not long after that one, they went to a thing in Miami. I was like, that's really weird, of the two places that would be juxtaposed on this special. But they had like a lady, a scientist, and she had essentially made prosthetics with actual sensory things, that it's like a new thing that they're trialing that a person can actually sense. So I was like, wow. Finally, Miami is doing something other than cocaine. Of course, I don't know she's not doing cocaine, but I can.
And this has been episode 1437. Which one are we on now? 13.
We're on episode 13. Lucky number 13.
Yeah. This has been episode number 13, dear listeners, and we're gonna sign off now at the Miami. Maim has just offended all of South Florida.
Why do you? No, I haven't. I don't think you understand how many people here do cocaine.
Girl, I don't think you understand how many people here do cocaine. Every bear at Flex does cocaine. They just don't forget to eat.
Okay. I was gonna. Yeah, but like cocaine with a bear's heart does not sound like a good combination.
They already got sleep apnea. They don't need anything else.
Stop it! Stop it! Stop it! Oh no!
And dear listeners, I am in fact of the bear variety. So I am a bear varietal, if you would. So I who may or may not have sleep apnea. You know, I've snored for years. So.
Jesus.
But I don't do cocaine. I don't like uppers. Uppers are not my thing.
Really?
God no.
I mean, I say that like I'm surprised. I'm like, I have no idea what your record with drug use is like. But I made it sound just like, really? Like, I've known all about you and drug use. I'm surprised.
The only drugs I've ever used were marijuana, cigarettes.
Oh, that's right. You were a smoker for a long time.
Alcohol, which I currently indulge in, and accidentally once. And the reason I say accidentally was I was smoking a doobie, as you did, or as I did, for a hot second. I don't do that anymore. But I started feeling real weird, and he's like, and I looked at my roommate at Wake Forest, who was a horrible person anyway. It's like, yeah, there was a little acid on that paper.
Oh, that could have gone way left.
Yeah, it could have. Luckily, it was not enough to do a full trip. Like it was just a little tiny like bit.
I would have had to drive. Well, I didn't have a car at the time. I would have had to get my my friend John to come and drive me to Wake Forest to kill somebody. Had that gone left, because that would have not been a pleasant experience. I can already see it now. Your mother calling my mother calling me losing my mind, then getting in the car. Well, at the time it was a minivan, and be like, drive me to Wake Forest right now.
He's trying to break into the Amish bakery and get some sugar cake.
Why is he in jail right now? What is happening? Why is he screaming? Why does he keep saying, "Hey lady, hey lady"? That would be you on an acid, like a bad acid trip. It would just be like Animaniacs spewing out of your mouth the whole time.
Lady, oh lady,
oh lady, oh
lady, oh lady.
He only stops briefly to say, "Hello, nurse," and that's and then back to the "Hey lady."
So speaking of that, I was looking at a thought, a THOT.
I was gonna say like a real thought, yeah.
So for Mama Maim, who may not know what that is a the slang for that hoe over there, which is a half-naked man on Instagram.
Hey, do we have to remind the listeners one more time? I live in South Florida. That's part of our economy.
It's true. Anyway, so I was looking at this dude, and I wish I'd saved the picture, but it was just him kind of stepping out of the shower with a towel over his bits, as you do. But all over his legs, on these massive thighs, were tattoos of the Tiny Toons. I was like, he had the Roadrunner up on his chest, but the rest of them, like Plucky, was over on his right thigh. I'm like, I don't. Where's Shirley?
You should have written them and said, I too am a geriatric millennial. Was your 40th birthday this year or last year? That's what you should have written them. Like, how did you know? Oh, I know.
Do you side more towards the millennials or the Gen Xers? What do you feel?
Are you upset with our new terminology? Would you rather go back to being a zennial? And he's like, I'm 30. Sure you are.
Yeah. Sure yeah. You dye your pubes, asshole. All right. You ready to get into this week's episode?
Yeah, let's do this, because the audience is like, I thought this was about deciding women. Like,
so join us. Let's get started. Episode 13, Old Spouses Never Die, Part 2.
Yeah.
I'm Julia Sugarbakers. I'm Julia Sugarbakers. I'm Julia Sugarbakers. I'm Julia Sugarbakers. And that's Marjorie. Just so you will know, and your children will someday know, is the night the lights went out in Georgia. The lights went out, the lights went out, the lights went out, the lights went out. And that is the night the lights went out in Georgia.
I'm sorry, I didn't know.
Well, now you do.
Bum, bum, bum. Let me give you a quick refresher. Ready?
Oh, I love those.
Anthony needs $5,000. Mary Jo needs to have sex. Charlie needs to have a biopsy. Cry, cry, cry.
Okay. I was going to do a longer song for the background music, but that's cool too. So here's what I think is awesome is that we basically start off with Mary Jo trying to get it on with JD, which is I personally thought this was actually a very funny moment, but I also thought this was a very interesting time because there were a lot of, I guess you would call them like early middle-aged divorcees that a lot of them, because of our culture, like really hadn't had sex with more than one man in their life.
Right.
So it was, I had not thought about it until I watched this again, and I was like, wait, that was like a lot of women back then.
Yeah. So I would like to interject.
What is
that? JD is wearing the worst sweater ever. Dear listeners, it is a sweater with a deep V over a button-up shirt. This deep V sweater has like patches of ill-fitting linen fabric in between. It is this. It's like a gray wool sweater with linen fabric in a chevron pattern. It is the ugliest thing that I think I have ever seen. And I have watched a lot of 80s television, Maim.
You know what it reminded me?
I have watched a lot of 80s television. Go on.
You know what it reminded me of? And as soon as I say it, you're gonna be totally triggered. Remember Vice Principal Mr. Redmond? As soon as I saw him in that, I was like, oh my gosh, it's Mr. Redmond. Like I immediately was like, yeah, that's totally him.
I've got a different one for you that you're going to be triggered by. 8th grade math teacher, Mr. Cook.
Oh, Mr. Cook, he got so mad at me.
Well, you shouldn't have told off the home ec teacher.
Well, she shouldn't have tried to be racist and embarrass me.
I didn't know that part happened. Hold on. I didn't know the racist part.
That's how that whole thing got started. Like she tried to equate my not knowing which side, like remembering which side the fork went on with my upbringing.
Oh.
Uh-huh. And you remember back in those days, there weren't a lot of brown people in our classes. So yeah, that's why I had my Julia Sugarbaker moment, because first of all, I didn't even memorize this stuff because I thought it was stupid. And second, this is your claim to fame? Okay. We're about to have a moment.
Girl, why couldn't you have just made those cinnamon rolls and moved on? I'm joking. No, that is wrong. What Maim did was right. Put a teacher in their place if they're ever being racist. I apologize for even suggesting, but the cinnamon rolls we made in that class were delicious.
They were delicious, actually. I'll be the first person to admit that. Those were delicious cinnamon rolls.
So Mary Jo, looks up and is basically, let's just do this. She takes off her thing and is wearing a negligee up underneath. They start to get fresh.
Wasn't that awkward?
It. Yeah.
That was awkward, right? Oh my gosh. Because at first I was like, well, I don't know. I felt like she was already treating it like she should be treating it in maybe the next 7 years, right? She was already in that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I was like, girl, if this is where you're at now, it's probably not gonna go bode well for you.
So she stops him. JD basically says, I can wait, but not forever, girl. Not forever. Yeah. Then he says, I love you. She says, I love you back.
Then he says the words that he says, I just want to be close to you. Oh, and that got her motor going.
And then Mary Jo goes to take him upstairs, and Ted quantum leaps in. So Maim just took a drink, and I waited for that joke to give her.
I hate you so much right now. I hate you so much. Oh my god. That is wrong on so many levels that you chose that moment to do that.
So Ted brings over, played by Scott Bakula from television's Quantum Leap. Ted brings over
Little Quentin.
The kids. Quentin forgets his special pajamas he wanted to wear. He wanted the one with dinosaurs. He's got the one with Garfield, which I'm surprised they could use the word Garfield since it was probably trademarked.
Me too.
Then what's the daughter's name?
Claudia.
Claudia wanted to take her mom's haircut or her curling iron. She says fine. Then Ted picks up the phone. Do you know who it is, Maim? Do you know who it is?
JD's wife. Ex-wife.
Ex-wife Janet. Her toilet's clogged. It's a crisis.
It's a major crisis. It's clogged and overflowing. And as JD says, the next step will be pestilence.
So JD rushes out to go fix it. Mary Jo and him have a little fuss. She kicks him out.
A little fuss. Yeah, they have a little fuss.
I mean, rightfully so, right? The Ted thing, I think, was getting ready to be handled. I think.
Well, I think that it's like Ted combined with Janet, though, that is basically an evil force. I mean, that's those two. The fact that those two, I mean, this is me personally, right? I thought the fact that those two are literally working together now, I personally was a little bit disturbed by it, to be honest. I was like, that's getting kind of weird, isn't it? That they're actually plotting.
It kind of seems like they should end up together, doesn't it? Don't they? Don't they end up together?
Ted and Janet, do they?
I think they do.
I feel like Janet's too old for Ted, though. Because doesn't Ted always date really younger women from now on? I don't know. We have
I don't remember. Scott Bakula's not a good actor. So we are back at Sugar Bakers.
Boy, are we. Let's talk. Now, we thought that the first act had been dramatic. Let's talk about Charlene coming in with boxes of stuff to give all of them. Because
right, yeah, she brings in box of
dying
memorabilia.
tomorrow.
And then Calvin Klein enters.
By the way, special pride shout out to Calvin Klein, by the way. If audiences are watching along with us, it is Pride Month if you're listening during the release.
Woo, Pride, show your titties.
That's not what we do on. No, we don't do that on Pride Month.
Show your balls.
There, that's better. That's better for Pride Month.
I know.
Yeah. So it's so Michael Jeter, who was like back then in the 80s, which was very rare. He was an openly gay character actor. And you might better know him as, I can't remember his character's name, but he was on Evening Shade with Burt Reynolds and Mary Lou Henner. And but yeah, he was
not
like
him.
Yeah, it is. Same guy.
Oh my God.
Yeah, this was pre-Evening Shade.
Oh my God, that's that. Oh God.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, let me just tell you, this dude, I wrote down here all of that great thing aside that you said. An embarrassing portrayal of a homeless person is what I wrote down.
No, it was. I mean, he didn't really have to be homeless. I don't know why they made him homeless. He didn't really. There was nothing about the scene that like made any sense about why he had to be homeless. But I guess it's just showing Charlene's kind heart again.
But it did lead to my favorite joke of the episode. He introduces himself to Anthony, and then Anthony says, "Brian Gumbel, nice to meet you." I lost it when I watched this the first time at that.
I knew you were going to. Like, I knew because me and you used to have our own little Brian Gumbel jokes all the time. And so I knew that was going to tickle your fancy like extra hard.
So let's go through the gifts.
Yes.
To Anthony,
you wrote them down.
I bequeath a Razorback hat.
Yeah. Which it was weird to me. Like Anthony, I didn't see Anthony as being. Is he like a Razorback fan?
I don't think so. I remember that they
had that episode during New Year's where they were like watching a game, but it wasn't.
And I think he said the Razorbacks were going to win, but it didn't seem like he was a Razorbacks fan, right?
Yeah, but I mean, whatever. We're not there all 24/7, 365, so we don't know we don't know the inner lives of these people.
We don't know what happens in Anthony's bed, the bed of Mr. and/or Mrs. Bouvier. To Julia, she bequeaths a signed letter from President Kennedy.
Yes. Which was weird because when she read the letter, it was in the third person. Did you notice that? It said the president really enjoyed your drawing, and I was like, wait, what? Because that to me, I was a little weird. I was like, that okay.
It was typed by a secretary, and he just signed.
Oh, but wouldn't they say?
Stamped.
Wouldn't he say like I really appreciated your drawing?
No, because it probably said in small lettering from the desk of President Kennedy.
I mean, it's fine. Like I'm not gonna get semantical on this situation. It's already ridiculous enough.
To Mary Jo, she bequeathed her personalized autographed picture of Elvis.
Yep, and you know how Charlene felt about Elvis.
I mean, nobody really knows yet because all she's talking about is Jerry Lee Lewis.
Jerry Lewis. When she said that, I was like, I don't know how you feel about it.
I mean, we do later on, but right now, no. How great would it be if they took like a little adventure to Graceland and designing women?
That would have been such a good episode. Oh my goodness, that would have been such a good episode. We should have been writers for that show.
We should have been. You wouldn't have been allowed on the staff.
I wouldn't have
Too
been.
gay.
It's fine. It would have been like a Star Is Born or something like that, right? You would have just come home every night, and I would have been feeding you scripts, and you just show up the next day like, I've got it. I've got the new plot, and I'm just taking the royalties, like that episode of The Simpsons where Grandpa Simpson was writing the Itchy and Scratchy episodes.
And Suzanne, she bequeaths her grandmother's silver hair mirror because she knows Suzanne likes to look at herself and she wants her to be happy.
Yes. I loved that. I thought that was adorable. I wouldn't mind having that personally.
I know, right? It looked like a nice mirror, actually.
It did actually. I was
Wait, we're
impressed.
cutting to Mary Jo's.
Why? What's happening?
Not much. Ted's not Ted. JD is having everybody sit down. Ted and Janet are sitting on a couch. Mary Jo's sitting in a chair. Everybody looks grumpy. And
So
Ted's,
grumpy.
And JD says, God, I just can't get their names straight because they're two actors. JD.
I don't understand what you just said there.
Also, hold on. I want to cut away real quick because earlier in the episode, JD says he is 34 years old. Does he not look like he's about 40? 42.
That's what 34-year-olds look like in the 80s.
God, that going back talking about cocaine, that is a lot of cocaine.
Yeah. Right? I mean, that's what 34-year-old. I mean, but think about it.
If I shave this off and did this a little bit differently, I would look younger than him because he's got that coif that actually shows off his balding and didn't have it styled right. Anyway, JD's got some rules.
I love these rules. I love the rules.
They are not to be bothered unless there's death, loss of blood, or excessive vomiting.
Yep. And he made it very clear. Garfield pajamas are not an emergency.
It's true. Garfield pajamas are not an emergency. So far, let's just recap because this is an episode. Girl. So far, JD and Mary Jo have nearly had the sex.
Nearly finally had the sex.
Scott Bakula comes in, ruins it.
Totally ruins it.
Janet calls, ruins it some more. And now we're back at Mary Jo's again, and there are rules. Right?
Yep. Yes, that's where we're at now.
Okay. On the other side, Charlene has already bequeathed all of her belongings to everyone.
Yep. That's correct. We are halfway through the episode, and there's already been so much that has happened in one episode of 23 minutes length.
Yeah, and we did a two-parter with 7 different storylines. Let's get them all done now.
Yep. This is my favorite thing, right? I was thinking about this today, and I thought about how many times people have asked me, like, I don't know how you guys do those improv shows for like 20 plus minutes. And I'm like, that's the literal length of one episode of a sitcom. Think about everything that happens in one episode of a sitcom. There's more than enough material for an improv show.
Exactly right.
Now we're taking a solemn turn.
Yes, we're at the hospital.
Boop.
Anthony calls
Boop.
Suzanne.
Boop.
Wait! Anthony's cousins are looking for him.
Oh no! But we were having a solemn moment.
No, we aren't. No, we aren't. Anthony's cousins are looking for him, and it turns out to be Mr. BB's people. And so,
I thought they were his actual cousins.
No, they aren't. They're Mr. BB's people.
Oh, I mean, Suzanne said they were his cousins.
Well, she was lied to.
Oh, geez.
And she's just ready to for Julia to hurry up and get there because Julia had to go talk to somebody. Been very secretive about it.
Super secretive. I think that's got cocaine again.
So,
dear listeners, as you know, sometimes Miss Mims and I, we arrive at a theme for an episode. Clearly, the theme today is cocaine use.
And if that is in fact will be the title of this episode, the theme today is cocaine use. Good job, Maim.
Thank you. So I have to say though, I was really excited by this this little moment here, right? And we get to see more of it later, but I'm really glad because we finally get to watch Anthony do something comedic. Finally.
Yeah, kind of. So when you say that, I compare all of this to, there's a future episode involving wigs, and you know the one I'm talking about.
Yes, I know the one you're talking about.
And it's a good episode, and that to me that is. But anyway, so Anthony puts on.
We get to see a glimpse of him, a glimpse of it.
There you go. Anthony puts on a hospital gown and gets into bed. But wait, we're cutting.
We're cutting. Why are we cutting now? Is it?
We find out where Julia is. We're wrapping up everything that has gone through this very quickly.
Is it her cocaine dealer?
No, maybe it's It's Charlene's first doctor.
Oh, that jerk.
She has just one question.
What?
How many more women are you going to kill before you retire?
I beg your pardon, ma'am. I am a professional doctor. How dare you? You clearly don't understand how medicine works.
She grew up in a medical household. She understands.
Well, I can tell right now, you seem like you are very emotional for a woman.
And then she says something like, he says he's old school. Then she says, this isn't old school. It's gross incompetence.
Yes. I like too when she lays in him and she's like, you're seemingly kind. And I was like, ooh, this is about to be good.
And she files a complaint with like everybody, and she probably has enough money and knows enough people in land to get that man kicked off the medical board.
Yeah, I love that. I do think. I mean, can we just seriously take like a serious moment and just say,
let me put
this
that on
is
paper. Go ahead.
This is still a huge problem in the medical world. There are still lots of women that are just in gross incompetent danger because of like doctors that do not take actual care of them. So please, all of our female listeners, please, if you ever feel like a doctor tells you something and you are not sure, please get a second opinion.
Or third, or fourth, fifth. Do what you got to do within your power, right?
Literally.
I also would like to say this is why healthcare should be free.
Yep. Oh, in case you didn't know, dear listeners, yeah, we're those gays.
Yeah, we really, really are. But like it's disgusting that this kind of shit still happens, right? Like
39 years, 34 years later, it's still a thing.
Well, back onto the episode. There's a round of applause.
Yes, of course.
For Julia as she leaves.
By the way, you do realize like this was our first rant after like a few episodes. There hadn't been a rant in a few episodes.
Yeah. Have we had one since Ray Dawn? Yes, we did. We did for
But it's been very few.
Because Primmy was the son.
Primmy was like episode 4, I think it was. Yeah, it's been a while. Like I didn't realize. I thought that was kind of an established from the start thing that happened on every episode, but apparently it wasn't.
No, because that would be too much, right? That would be too strong of a woman.
No, it would be. That would be too much. So speaking of strong women, we go back to Anthony in the hospital.
Okay. That's true.
So Anthony is now playing sick. He is in a full hospital gown. He is acting like he's asleep when Mr. BB's men come in, which I was really happy that they had a black and a white henchman. I thought that was very progressive.
It's true. At least they weren't both black.
Right. It was very progressive for the time.
Yeah.
But I thought that whole exchange, what was it, kidney stones that Anthony said he had?
Yes, that he's got kidney stones.
I don't know much about those. Is that a thing that you go to the hospital for and you like stay in the hospital? I thought that was more of an outpatient kind of procedure.
It can be if they're painful enough.
Oh wow.
Yeah, like so it's because sometimes people need fluids, sometimes like and it looked like that was probably an outpatient waiting area because I mean Charlene just had a biopsy, right? Which is
But they said she wasn't gonna go home for a couple of days.
yeah, that's not maybe
Which
the
I'd
80s
never
were-
heard. I'd never heard of that for a biopsy either.
I mean,
But
any biopsy I've ever, unless that was a real deep, like unless that little tumor was real deep on in there.
yeah.
Ugh.
Just dear listeners, just FYI, because sometimes we're gonna do this. Miss Mims and I both came from sort of medical. our mothers both worked for the same hospital for
Uh-huh.
the entire length of our lives.
That's
So
true.
occasionally you'll see us divert into this little part of the conversation because we're trying to compare like what we've known about with being in the
Mhm.
hospital. You never worked in the hospital, did you?
No.
Oh, okay, I worked there twice.
Once you were a call girl,
I was a call girl.
and once did you work in the pink tea room?
No, I was a so like freshman summer. No, I guess it'd be summer after freshman year of college. They invented this new position for college students called unit helpers.
Okay.
And so for the whole summer there, I worked on the third floor. And I was basically like the gopher for like all of the nurses and the nurse assistants, and like I would go downstairs, I would go push people to the docks. Wait, no, that was just one person. I had to take him to the dock.
Docks.
I had to take this guy to the docks weekly because they didn't have an internal scale that could take his weight because he was so obese. I actually had to like take him down to the dock to weigh him. Yeah. That
Dear
was
listeners,
dear
dear listeners, just to let you know, Statesville, North Carolina is landlocked. So there is. When he was saying take it to the docks, I'm like, is this some sort of slang? No. He was talking about taking him to the docks where the
loading dock.
the loading dock where like they received goods and wheeling him onto the.
Yeah, it was a lot. That was quite a summer, I will say. Like I feel like I could almost like write a book about just that summer because there were so many different kinds of patients that came through.
Oh, yeah.
And for me at like the age of 19, it was a lot. It was a lot to experience.
Which I've got a question for you because coming from the rural South, if you would, did you ever experience any form of negativity because you are not quite of the full white?
Me, I mean, so like that's a good question, right? I would say that I never, some people look at me like I'm crazy, right? I think because I always just cause question marks that I never really had like, especially as far as like race related stuff, I never really had a lot of people like almost that I could think of ever that were like outwardly like racist or things like that. But that was always because I looked more foreign to everybody. So
Yeah.
because of that, people just didn't even like I didn't register with people. You know, you can remember, right? Like it would just be like, "Are you Indian?" Like that would just be like the question du jour, like more than anything else. And you're like, "No, I'm not."
Little medium brown gay boy, where did you come from?
I came from Candyland. I come from Hershey, Pennsylvania. That's where my people reside. We are the short little brown elves that run Hersheyland, and we taste sweet if you just give us a chance.
Girl, I heard the most racist thing.
That's saying
Okay.
a lot considering where we come from.
Not the most racist thing, but so I was at a poker event. I go to a gay poker every other Monday.
Sorry, it's just the word gay poker. It's just
Gay poker. yeah. We gamble with real money. And we were talking about one of the attendants' boyfriends
Okay.
who, when asked if why he doesn't like black people or having sex with black people,
Okay.
he said because their dicks look like turds. To which somebody at the table said, well, has he ever seen one? And I looked at them and said, a turd, right? Because they don't look the same.
What? What?
I don't. Are you frozen or is it just the look in your eye? Okay, just a look. I couldn't even.
I don't. I have the heart. Like for me, like I'm at this point now where like people being racist at this point and some of the like ridiculous ways that they justify their racism, it is the most ridiculous thing to me. And that right there might be one of the stupidest white justifications I think I've ever heard in my life. Wow.
So somebody was telling me a story, and I'm not going to use any like offensive words or anything, about how they were in Walmart.
Okay.
And how they were with a gay friend of theirs, and there was somebody Asian in front of them. And he called the gay person the F word. Okay.
Okay.
And then she responded with, you stupid bleep. Okay. She was attempting to use a derogatory term for a Korean, but she got her letters completely mixed up. And like, she told me this story later. I was like, is that really the word you used? And she's like, yeah. I was like, girl, if you're gonna be racist, you should at least use the right word, right? Like, I mean,
I just don't understand. Like it's just
I'm like, you know, if you're, yeah.
I just don't understand. Human beings just do better. That's all we can say right now. Just
so the
better.
nurse centers.
Yes, because Anthony got the guys to believe. Did they believe him ever? I can't remember. Did they actually?
Yeah, they did because they're stupid.
Okay.
And so they leave, and he's like, well, I was just feeling a little lightheaded, but I'm feeling much better now. And then he like puts the curtain around and he decides to change back to his normal clothes.
Did you like myself see that little glimpse of Hollywood in that little moment there?
I did.
Because
It was the glint in the eye. Like,
I was like, you can't keep that Hollywood down. You just can't.
So we're going to cut over to Mary Jo and JD.
I'm so angry about this scene. I am so angry about this scene that
She's like, you're my knight in shining armor. Let's go upstairs and bone real hard.
I was like, this whole show, this whole first 13 episodes, was literally supposed to be about women's empowerment, women's individuality, all of this stuff. And Mary Jo's like, I'm really glad I have a knight in shining armor.
Yeah, doesn't Mary Jo feel like she could be one of those submissive women who just ask her man for everything?
Literally.
Permission to do everything.
But but here's the thing, right? Talk about problematic. When that moment happened, I literally said, oh, okay, now the entire thing with Ted makes complete sense. Mm-hmm. Because Ted treated her like a possession.
Yep.
And I was like, oh, so this character, I mean, one can very easily say, well, at least they kept her character choices consistent. But at the same time, you're like, I wish that wasn't a consistency because holy crap, this just went against everything the show was all about.
Yep. But now we're back at the hospital. Charlene wakes up.
Oh man, she's so groggy right now. I'm so worried about the fact that lump is not going to be.
It's not cancer. Don't worry.
Oh, thank God.
Did you think it was going to be cancer?
I don't know.
I mean, we are going to kill Gene Smart in episode 13.
I mean, we didn't know if episode 13 was going to be the last episode. Do you know if the show got renewed for a second half?
How hilarious would that be if they hinged on getting more episodes as to whether Gene Smart lived or died?
To quote Soap Dish, who dies?
Like,
But I mean, they did like if think about it, right? So we kind of have toyed around with this for the longest time about whether episode 13 was like they wrote it specifically just to give the show like a nice little bow on it, just in case it didn't get picked up for a second half renewal. And you
yeah,
have to admit, it did have that feeling to it. This ending scene had that feeling to it.
it did. So Anthony lies to everybody about why he didn't go to the game. He's like, yeah, no, I just went and I told him straight up, blah, 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 blah. And Julia's just looking so proud of him for that. And Charlene gets a telegram.
Oh, that's a thing still.
Yeah, apparently. It said, I was there. Where were you? Jerry Lee Lewis. Oh, Jerry Lee Lewis cared.
Do you think Mary Jo told Jerry Lee Lewis that Charlene was a 14-year-old girl?
And related to him? Yeah, I do.
Yes.
Oh, God.
Problematic entertainment industry.
So JD and Mary Jo are going to take her to the concert.
In Macon.
And then Suzanne says it feels like they're all family. Whereas
Yes.
Charlene says that's just what I need. More relatives.
Yeah, it was a cute little bow, right? If the show had ended there, I think that would have been a really nice ending. You know, reiterating their family and everything.
So, Auntie Maim,
Yes.
did you find yourself in Miss Georgia World?
I did.
Who?
Anthony Bouvier modeling that hospital gown realness.
That was a long ass hospital gown too. Like
Paging Dr. Feelgood.
somebody's wanting a reach around.
Oh.
So mine. I have to give it to Mary Jo Shively in the little bit of lingerie.
That was my
because
runner-up.
It was the best she's looked
That was my runner-up.
in anything. Like, it didn't have cats on it.
Well, plus, like, once again, this woman has a beautiful figure.
She
but
does.
their clothing for her, this whole, I mean, we understand why the clothing is because it goes along with her character, but good Lord, like, who knew that she had such a, like, tight little figure?
No one, because she was in all of these big, fluffy, like, knitwear that, like, she shops at Woman's World at Belk. It's what it...
You know that she goes to Belk and they're like, ma'am, actually, no, wait, hold on. Ma'am, actually, you should probably be shopping in the junior section. And she's like, I have children. I can't do that. I have to shop in the women's section. But ma'am, you're really not this. I have to shop in the women's section because I have children. Sir, I will not be shopping in the junior section.
Fine, ma'am. The petite section is that rack right there. It's all we have.
That's fine. I will take the women's size 16. It's okay. I'm a mother. I'll just belt it.
With a size 16 belt that swallows your whole stomach. Oh my God. Maim, did you like this episode?
It was a sweet little episode. It was still chaotic. So if you took part 1 and part 2 and combined it all together, a lot of stuff happened in 1 hour. Well, 44 minutes. So I did like it. It was a nice, sweet way to give everybody their little like piece of something, except for Suzanne, who didn't really have much to do in these 2 episodes. But I thought it was cute.
So I liked the Charlene stuff.
Okay.
The Anthony stuff was I did the Mary Jo and JD stuff. I could have either put that into its own episode or cut it out completely.
But that's what we said about the last episode. We were like, all of these things could have just been their own episode.
Yeah, I know. Well, I don't want the Anthony thing to be its own episode because that'd just be ahead of me.
Oh, you gotta be kidding me. You wouldn't want to see the Anthony and Mr. BB saga in one episode? It would be like, think about it too, right? Think for a moment. If this was like 1987, Mr. BB would have been somebody like Billy D. Williams. That would have been amazing.
Do you know who I You know who I picture whenever they say Mr. BB? Every single time, Biggie Smalls. I don't know why, but just Biggie comes to mind.
That's it. So it would be like the '80s version of Biggie Smalls, which would have been BB King.
All right. Yeah.
Could you imagine how the audience would have screamed if BB King had showed up on as the actual Mr. BB? People would have lost their minds.
We got Lucille.
Right. Oh my gosh, that would have been amazing. See what I mean? We totally should have been around then. I mean, we were around then, but we should have totally been adult gay men back then.
So I have some news for you that is related to this podcast. Oh, that's the end of the episode. Yes.
Wait, that was the end of the episode? We didn't do our little shout outs and stuff.
Oh no, not the end of the episode, but like that's the end of the episode. We aren't done with this. The listeners are going to listen to this part too.
I was going to say, like, how are they going to know where to find us and follow us?
Well, where can they follow you, Auntie Maim, Noire?
They can follow me at Instagram on @Auntie Maim, MAIM, because I'll cut someone. They can also find me at the same location on Facebook.
Yes. But not on Twitter. She is at Maim Ministry on Twitter, which she doesn't use.
Yes. I use it occasionally.
I am the Divine Miss Mims. You can find me at Miss Mims. God almighty. At Divine Miss Mims. Not the Divine Miss Mims, but at Divine Miss Mims on the Twitter machine.
The Twitter machine.
I use Twitter machine far more than I do Instagram and far more than I do Facebook.
Also, we have a at Mims and Maim on Instagram as well.
On Instagram, on Facebook, at Twitter, at Patreon, which we currently still have 0 supporters. Yay! But so I did a thing. I put a little advertisement out there just to see. We have gone from 40 cents in our monetary thing to $1.
No.
Yes. People are listening.
What?
They like us. They really, no, not that many, but they like us. They really like us. Which leads us to say, hey, tell your friends about us.
Yeah, please.
Like and subscribe or whatever you do at your podcast things.
Leave a review.
Leave a review. We got a great review recently that basically said we are the fun co-workers. And we are fun co-workers.
We are actually fun co-workers. We're not actual co-workers, but we are fun co-workers. We're basically like, we've been fun co-workers of life for so many years now.
Yeah, too many years. Too many years have we been. Don't make that face at me. We've known each other since we were 5. That's 36 years. 36 years. It took us 36 years to figure out how to make this fucking podcast.
It did, actually. We tried to start it in like the 90s, but it just didn't work.
There weren't podcasts. What would we have done? Just sat around?
We just recorded it on a Memorex tape deck, and we just sat there bitching about things.
Oh, God. Yeah, let's never bring that back up, shall we?
Oh, the 90s.
Welcome to the 90s! But we aren't there yet. We're still in 1987.
Yes.
So, dear listeners, let's wrap this shit up. Join us next week for season 1, episode 14, Monette. Monette. I don't know what a Monette is, or is it Monet?
No,
I think it's Monette.
Is it Monette or is it Monet? I feel like, yeah. I hope it's I hope it's Monet after that exchange just now. Because if it's Monet, because I was like, oh, it's Monet. And you're like, it's Monet. I'm like, is it? Okay.
E-T-T-E.
I guess it's Monet. I guess.
Maybe it's Monet.
We'll find
Monetti.
out.
Okay, we'll find out next week when we have to hopefully love potentially suffer through another episode. And just like Scott Bakula, I'm disappearing and moving on to my next host. God, did that make him like a disease, like a pest, like a
I guess he would be like a parasite, right?
yeah, like a parasite, like a
I mean, but so there are parasites that do good things sometimes.
yeah, but like was he like the alien, like inside? He just gonna reach out and hello, my baby, hello, my. All right, I think I've done everything I can do this episode. Oh, Maim, I'll talk to you later. I will see you next week. Bye girl.